Hello, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Psych Talk. Today's episode is going to be about in vivo exposure therapy, which is like a follow up to the previous episode of systematic desensitization. I will also talk about in vivo floating because these are pretty much short subjects or like easier subjects to talk about. So it's going to be short. So in vivo exposure, the client is exposed to actual anxiety evoking events rather than simply imagining these situations. And it involves repeated systematic exposure to fear items beginning from the bottom of the hierarchy. And obviously, the treatment begins always with a functional analysis of objects or situations a person avoids or fears so that we know what to do next. On the other hand, in vivo floating consists of intense and prolonged exposure to the actual anxiety-producing stimuli. So basically remaining exposed to fear stimuli for a prolonged period without engaging in any anxiety-reducing behaviors, which basically allows the anxiety to decrease on its own. So what highly fearful clients tend to do is to curb their anxiety through the use of maladaptive behaviors. But in floating, clients are prevented from engaging in their usual maladaptive responses to these anxiety arousing situations. So the client cannot do anything, they just have to face the anxiety arousing situation. And an advantage of using this imaginal floating over in vivo floating is that there are no restrictions on the nature of the anxiety arousing situations that can be treated. Obviously, in vivo floating can be in person, or we can just imagine the anxiety provoking situation. But because of the discomfort associated with prolonged and intense exposure, some clients may not select this exposure treatment and prefer maybe in vivo exposure or systematic desensitization.